These are some of the most broken and fun builds of the season. Since there's like a gazillion fun and strong builds this season, I've gathered some of my favorites. And to be a truly great build, I believe they need 4 things. They need to be fast as fuck when mapping, be able to deal enough damage to skip boss mechanics. They need to be actually playable as long as you put a reasonable investment in it. Because while a few of you may have hundreds of Fub-Guna divines to spend, I sure as hell don't. Or well, I do, but I'd much rather have them in my stash where they belong. And finally, they need to be easy and fun. Because if they require a PhD in gaming to play, then you dumbass donkeys won't be able to play them. With that said, let's cover some builds and start off with one of my personal favorites, and probably the most underrated build of the season, the Poison Pathfinder. And why is it my favorite? Well, shit. Explosions and poison. On top of that, it can do it all. It can speed clear gigajuice maps, clear pinnacle bosses, and everything in between. And it's incredibly cheap. Basically, 2 divines. And you can do this too. Oh, and the best part, you can't be slowed as a Pathfinder, so welcome back the Chilled Ground and Temporal Chain maps again, because they're finally worth running again. But first things first, what the hell is even going on here? Glad you asked, friend. Here we're rocking Poison Burst Arrow. This skill takes your physical and chaos hits and transforms them into a poison explosion for damage over time. This poison is then spread via contagious contamination. Combine that with Nova projectiles that shoot 5 arrows around you, and you're now exploding upon the entire screen with automatically spreading poisons. Pretty great, huh? Damn right. And then when it comes to bossing, there is a bug you can use via Poison Concoction to deal like 10 million DPS. But this is without that bug. Rather, I'm rocking Toxic Growth in combination with Vine Arrow. I then just have the Poison Burst arrows hit both of the former, have the Toxic Growth explode, and poison the Vine Arrow. Then I repeat. This allows me to just stack up more and more damage until the fucker eventually dies. And there's also a neat little trick if you stay on top of your Rua when fighting. Then you can actually place your Poison Burst arrows right on top of your feet, allowing all of them to explode at the same spot. If you want to play this build, as you definitely should, you'll find a planner in the description along with all of the other builds. And for the next build, we're checking out Thor on steroids. Or well, they're both probably on steroids, but we'll check out the PoE version. Now this is quite possibly the most fun and badass build I've seen so far, and it's by Mr. Ulf. You simply spam your Bone Shatter, fly across the map, and shit just explodes in lightning bursts. And how does it function then, Mr. Big Penis Man? Glad you asked. This build relies on the Mjolnir weapons, and will dual-wield 2 of them. Basically, these grant you an entirely new skill called Thunder God's Wrath. In this skill, you can slot in additional skills. If you've played any cast on crit or anything of that sort before, then it works exactly the same, but with one massive difference. You can use any melee skill to stack them up, and they are insanely fast to gather energy for. Just hit enemies with your Bone Shatter, and they instantly trigger. And why are we using 2 Mjolnirs? Is one not enough? Sure, but utilizing 2, we can slot in Ball Lightning and Lightning Warp in one of them and allow them to leave behind lightning infusions. Collecting these will boost the damage of our other weapon like crazy, where we socket Arc. So basically hit stuff with Bone Shatter, trigger the weapons, and deal damage via Arc. Simple, huh? Yeah, but beautiful. All the other skills are just there to boost your damage and defense, the former mainly on bosses. Alright, Mr. Senpai, I'm sold. But what about the budget? Is it playable by a dogshit newbie such as myself? Well, depends how dogshit. But compared to stat stacking builds, it's actually insanely cheap, because with the Mjolnir weapons, you're already hitting enemies twice as fast as if you were to use a 2-handed weapon. This alone allows you to forgo some expensive items and jewels you'd otherwise need, but definitely 10+ divines at a minimum, and a buttload if you want to make it as good as it can be, obviously. Alright, Next, we have some warrior action. If you want to play the best warrior build, and I mean actual warrior build, not stats stacking Titan, then you go with Requip's Fissure Warrior. Thing's absolutely nuts, able to one-tap pinnacle bosses while having screen-wide clear. But I already have a full build guide for this one on my channel, so here's to another warrior build that's equally as fun, but perhaps not as strong. Ulf's Sunder Titan. I fucking love this build, man. It's my favorite build in PoE1, and it's now finally playable in PoE2. But Pera, Sunder have been playable for the previous 2 seasons too, right? Sure. But guess what? This season, Johnny Boy removed the total attack time for Sunder, allowing you to stack a shit ton of attack speed to basically remove its entire animation. Combine that with the fact that its damage is great, and also the fact that its AoE is absolutely insane, then you get this. A build that one taps the entire screen when pressing Sunder. And this one, my friends, is playable on a budget. And if you want, you can even combine it with Requip's previous Fissure build, as he's currently playing it alongside the Fissures for extra massive clears when there's a lot of density. Alright, and how does it work? Easy. Sunder is just a great skill in itself. Every time you hit an enemy, you spawn a shockwave. These shockwaves in turn will kill enemies and trigger Herald of Ash, and that's why you're seeing the large, fiery explosions. And that's basically it. All of the other skills are used only on bosses, where you're lining up armor break, some fissures if you want, along with shouting for additional fire damage and aftershocks. But really, you can just hold down the Sunder button here as well, and the boss will just melt. That's probably my favorite thing about it. Just like in PoE1, it's simple to play, build, and to understand. And fucking hilarious when shit explodes everywhere. Okay, and next we're checking out the Lightning Warp Arc Blood Mage build, or rather, Flicker Strike at home. This is possibly the most visually appealing build in the entire game. While mapping, you have incredible speed and lightning explosions, and for bossing, you're blowing up the screen with meteors. And if you really want to take the build to the next level, then you can end up with this. But be aware, you may need a replacement GPU, and you may need to swipe a bit. Just make sure to stay away from the blue-haired demon.
Get her the fuck out, standing for.
In any way, we have Awesome Gi, Zero, and SneakyB's builds here. There are a lot of interactions here, but how does it function on a basal level? For starters, the most important interaction we have is that of Lightning Warp. This is what we use when mapping to teleport around and deal big chunks of AoE damage. This skill can only be used on low-life enemies, that is, enemies that can be culled. To allow ourselves to spam it, we would simply have to make sure that all enemies are low on life, and then we can fly across the map. So, is there any way to ensure that enemies are on low life and not just randomly dying? Yes, there is. Our main damage dealer to lower enemy health is going to be Arc, and in Arc, we're slotting in the new lineage gem, Piety's Mercy. And now, my friends, we have a way to damage enemies to low life without killing them, and we can simply use Lightning Warp to finish them off. And to make this as smooth as possible, we simply socket Lightning Warp into Cast on Crit. Because now, you don't even have to press Lightning Warp, rather just hold down the Arc button, Crit, and the rest sorts itself out. And that's the basics. For bossing, there are a few different ways of doing it, and they're both sorting those in different ways. So check out the guides, decide which one you want to play, and try it out. Just be aware, the warps can take you anywhere. Alright, next we're checking out Crafty's Purple Balls. This one's also a Blood Mage caster, but for the people that don't like the zoomy playstyle of the other builds, and would rather just want to play a chill caster build, that, mind you, is still incredibly strong, satisfying as hell to play, and viable on a budget. So, how do we spawn the blue balls? By spamming fireballs, obviously. No, wait, that's not obvious at all. Because they're red. Yeah, well, by using the Black Flame Covenant, we turn all of our fire damage into chaos damage instead. This not only makes the build look cooler, but it has one additional benefit. We can now combine both chaos and fire skills. And that's great, because they do synergize quite well, allowing us to spread curses to remove enemy resistances, for example. When it comes to the playstyle, it's as simple as it looks. You press your living bomb twice, press fireball, snap when off cooldown, and repeat. This will allow you to spawn fire infusions that you can pick up as to make your fireballs split into a bunch of smaller fireballs. And when bossing, you just throw in your Ember Fusillade for some additional burst. Now, there are some additional skills and interactions that you need to be aware of if you want to actually play the build, but those are the basics. Check out the guide, and we'll head on over to the next build. And next up is another build where you don't see shit of what's going on. Because apparently, those are the builds I enjoy playing. It's Flicker Strike, obviously, because what is a build showcase without a Flicker Strike build? And here, we're showing of probably the nastiest of them all, just to ensure that all you see is a bunch of pixels once uploaded with YouTube quality. So, Flicker Strike. It deals 30 million DPS and has possibly the fastest clear speed in the entire game, at least compared to its budget. But how does it work? Well, shit. Flicker Strike utilizes power charges to repeat itself. So as long as we can find a way to generate power charges, it will be able to repeat indefinitely. And how does one go about solving this? It's rather simple, really. The easiest way to do it is just using Profane Ritual. Having this, you'll gain a power charge by consuming corpses. We then automate this by slapping it into the Reaper's Invocation spell or any other cast on whatever the fuck type of skill, and it's automated as long as you're killing enemies, so that the skill has corpses available for use. And when you run out of corpses, you simply shoot out some storm waves, or any other skill for that matter that doesn't consume power charges, to kill a few enemies and start all over again. For bossing, however, we're screwed. We can't generate any corpses here since nothing's dying, right? Right? Well, sort of. But by using a weapon swap and summoning Skelly Warriors, then letting them die, then we'll have corpses to use. Utilize this tech until you have 9 power charges, and I assure you that you'll be able to kill any boss in the game. Here, the charges are nearly enough to boost a 60 million health boss in a group, so yeah, you'll probably be fine with anything you want to do. And as I said previously, gearing is easy peasy. Everything you need is basically just a bunch of standard rare items that you can either craft for yourself or purchase on a low budget. And in case you're not playing Invoker, Deadeye or Huntress is fine as well. And hell, you can even play any Ascendancy you want here, but those are the main ones benefiting the build and being nicely placed in the passive tree. For the final build of the day, we're checking out a crossbow build. If you fancy X-bows with massive clearance speed, then this is probably the best the game has to offer right now. It has great AoE, it scales nicely, and it's viable on a budget. Alright, and how does it function? Easy. While mapping, we press Explosive Shot. And, yeah, that's basically it. Utilizing Nova projectiles, we allow them to fire in a circle, and combining this with Arjun's medal and ensuring that enemies actually die, we don't have to reload. So all we need to do is move forward, press Explosive Shot, and everything dies around us. When it comes to bossing and rough elites, we can combine this with the Explosive Grenade skill for a huge burst. We'd then simply drop some grenades, and we'd have Explosive Shot blow it up for a large chunk of damage. Combine all of that with Rocking Deadeye for automatic voltaic marks, and you now have lightning damage going off as well, making us able to trigger Herald of Thunder for even more AoE. And that's the basics of this one, along with the end of the video. Make sure to drop a sub, check out the creators, and I'll see you in the next one.